Hello, welcome to It's a Frankly Harry podcast. So glad that you could be back in my forest today. It's your host, Frank Weber. Got a great show for you here. I wanted to start off again with a personal story, something of an old man story, I guess you could say. I have as one of my vehicles, an old Dodge Ram 1500 from 2007, got a Hemi in it, which I read somewhere they were not putting Hemis anymore in Dodge pickups, which is very sad. But anyway, I love the truck. I've had it for a long time. It was one of the first vehicles. Actually, it was the first vehicle that I ever purchased. So I'm nostalgic about it, and I want to take care of it. And I get concerned if I have to take it in for repair, and how much it might cost me to do that, because it has over 200,000 miles, and some things are starting to wear out now. But the last few weeks I've had some trouble, maybe not even trouble, just some different things happening when it starts. I would turn the key, and then it allows me to let it go, and then it's whining. It won't start immediately. Usually it might take a few seconds before it actually turns over, or it may not start at all, and then I'd have to turn the key again, and then it would immediately start. Power was definitely getting to the engine, but I didn't realize until I looked under the hood this morning that there's a bunch of blue acid and shit buildup, especially on the positive terminal of the battery, so much so that it was difficult to remove the wire from there. And I just see this as just another laughable situation of me kind of getting into a state of worry and a tizzy, and probably getting a little old and decrepit, and forgetting that I've actually had situations like this before where I've had to go in and take a little baking soda and water and remove all that stuff from there, all that crud. And of course I reattached everything, and everything is working good now. And the funny thing is, while I was out there working on that, you may recall that I told you a story about that wood filler that I couldn't find. I managed to find it, the unused one, in the garage on my working bench, somehow after a week. And so that turned up, and I was able to take that back and get a refund. That was the other story of my old age. Anyway, I'm amused by all that because I'm just pointing out the mundane, ordinary things and trying to find a little comedy in them, a little self-deprecating humor, if you will. It's easy to overlook a lot of those things nowadays. People are so focused on, so busy on so many other things. And anyway, just wanted to let you know about all that. It had a happy ending, and where I can go on with my life, or at least in regard to my truck, for a little while. So anyway, that just allows me to share a little something about me with you, and hope you enjoyed that. Anyway, today I came up with a couple of questions that I think you might like. I really kind of enjoy a format, and I'm not going to do this every week, but I like kind of doing a little Q&A, and I'd like to give people a little bit of a sample of that every so often. Really would enjoy it if you would send your own questions into me, and I can answer them and try to answer them truthfully and honestly, maybe give a little bit of a humorous take on them if it should come up in my commentary. So I only have 2 of them today. Let me go ahead and give it a go. What are your general thoughts on social media? Well, that's a great question. It's a very big topic. Social media, of course, is still fairly new. I guess it's about 15, 20 years old in general. And so it's pretty new to me even now. I'm kind of an old fuddy-duddy. I know that sounds strange for 46, almost 47 years old. Or maybe it doesn't for some of y'all. I don't know. I'm not sure who out there is actually listening, but The concept of it, I think, is pretty good. I would say it's above average. Um, I really like the fact that it's another means of communication and that you can, another way of connection with people all over the world. I think that's the main potential benefit to it. But then some of the platforms, some of the outlets are not all created equal. I tend to think that Twitter, or X as it's now called, Elon changed it to X a while back. I don't know why he likes that word so much. I don't know if he likes X-rated stuff or he likes algebra or whatever the hell was going on there. I generally like Elon. I don't know about all of his business projects, but anyway, I digress. But I tend to think of Twitter as being the most intellectual. I know that sounds a little bit of a stretch sometimes because it's really more of a comment or thought or take platform. People just put a quick thought in there and others will comment on them, and it's not a real conversation. That's probably the main drawback of it. Facebook is okay. I mean, I like it. It's good for information. So is X. And then they're also both good for just kind of saying hi, hello, and friending and that sort of thing. Not as big on Instagram. It's kind of a dumbed down Facebook, really. LinkedIn is kind of a professional job thing. I've never been able to navigate it properly or understand it. Is my biggest thing there. And then American TikTok, I totally avoid. I think it's true that it's very addictive for a lot of people. And then things like YouTube and Rumble and some others that show videos and stuff are I think those are very useful too. I mean, it's fun to kind of just watch clips of things or old movies or entire movies. So there's some utility in that as well. Problem is that there's a lot of drawback on social media platforms too. I actually have a funny story. I don't know if I told this actually, but one of the drawbacks is the bots. And some have statistically said that most of the posters, including the ones that get into fights with commenters and whatnot, are actually bots, or AI bots, or some kind of freaky shit like that. It's kind of difficult, when you make a comment online on one of these social media places. Even if you put emojis and things like that, a lot of people can't really tell or delineate as well what you mean by your written word. And sometimes they'll read a lot of stuff into it. That's a big drawback of social media in my mind. And then, of course, the bots themselves, when I first joined X, and this has been over a year ago, it was really cool when I would get DMs from people that I thought were celebrities, but they didn't have check marks because they were bots. And I got one time from Paige Sporanic, who is a lovely golf instructor and I guess technically social media influencer, has a big enterprise going online. I was really thrilled because this is like the first person who's ever followed me, and so I followed her back and we had this conversation online, but she was kind of wouldn't let me go of the conversation. And it seemed like she was busy contacting me all the time when she should be out playing golf or doing other videos. She seems to be a very busy person and claimed to be busy. But that was apparently a bot. And then I had another one as well from William Shatner, somebody who thought it was William Shatner. And he was just after my money, so I had to end these bot relationships there. And so far, all of the followers I have are still bots. I haven't signed up for a blue check mark thing yet, which I probably should. I think that could connect me to some other people that I would like to connect to and talk to, maybe even have on this show. So I may be doing that here pretty soon. I haven't really had too much of the way of bots on other platforms. The only other thing is, I talked about TikTok and how it was addictive. I think a lot of this stuff is pretty addictive, though, too, on the other platforms. And I see people staring at their phones all the time. They could be, they're trying to do something else, whether they're driving or at the gym. I see a lot of people taking breaks between sets at the gym, and I'm like, I need this machine, and you're looking at your fucking phone for something that's probably not that important. And anyway, I guess to summarize, like I said, conceptually it was good, but then practically, when you look at the way humans use it and the way it ultimately works for us or not work for us, I don't know how good it is. It's not as good as one-on-one interaction and being able to say hi and hello, how are you? Seeing people in person, maybe not even as good as a phone call or even a, FaceTime, Zoom meeting type thing as well. And that's pretty much all I would say about social media. I do have some issues with advertising and marketing on it. That's a totally different thing. People making clips with captions. Still trying to figure that out. If anybody out there, by the way, can help me with that at a reasonable price, I'd be glad to hear from you. Okay, next question. What are your general thoughts on the upcoming college football season? Well, that's another loaded question. I can tell you for sure, I do believe there will be at least one undefeated team at the end of the regular season. They'll be ranked number 1, and if ESPN likes them enough, they'll be the number 1 seed in the college football playoff. I'm willing to stake a lot of money on that prediction right there. But that's about all I can really say for sure. I know I talked not too long ago about rivalries disappearing. That's a real issue in the game, at least from a fan perspective. I don't know if Texas going to the SEC, they're bringing OU, so they have that rivalry. They're beginning a rivalry again with A&M, who I don't know necessarily wanted to rekindle it. And I don't know if they're rekindling their rivalry with Arkansas. Maybe they are. I haven't seen their schedule, but that would actually be one of the exceptions to the rivalry thing recently. But that just comes because there's more conference shuffling and lack of consistency year to year in the game. You also have, like I've said before, I think I said this maybe on the old show, but there's the name, image, likeness thing, which is basically paying players, and then there's the transfer portal. Combined, that's basically a free agency for college football. Never thought we would actually be talking about something like that. And it's a very difficult time because when you have a lot of players transferring at the end of the year for whatever reason, I think a lot of them, are not necessarily unhappy, but I think they want to leave because they think that, I can go to this other school and learn from this other coach and somehow learn all this other football, and maybe it'll make me a better candidate for the NFL, or something like that. It's very difficult to build programs like that and to create dynasties and things that are going to be on video and remembered years and years down the road. And so I think that's really sad. So many different changes. TV controls the game. They control the game times, oftentimes a short number of days before the game is actually played. I postulated many years ago that college football fans are some of the most abused because they don't know when the game time is until 6 or 12 days before, and sometimes they're out there in September in the blazing sun, burning themselves all, with sunburn and getting dehydrated and all sorts of crazy shit. Or they're in there in November being forced to go to a night game and it's frigid, maybe it's snowing. And then it takes a lot of time. You invest a lot of time to go to these games. TV, you're talking about 3.5, 4 hour games. Somebody has said there's over an hour of TV commercials now. It's really difficult. It's kind of time to re-examine priorities in that. The business model is one thing. The universities love it, but then what about the game, and what about the fans and true fan enjoyment? I wish people could come to grips on that. The college football is not supposed to be like the NFL, but it seems like it's becoming like an NFL light. And then the playoff that I mentioned earlier is supposed to be several more weeks this year or something like that. I mean, NFL playoffs already drag on a long time, in my opinion. When it comes time to end the season, you got to end the season. I know a lot of diehards out there are like, oh, I wish it was year round, and they wish that they had their head in the clouds on this stuff, but that's just not how it works. As far as my team goes, and I'll wrap up with this, Texas Tech down in Lubbock, I'm guessing that I'm predicting if they want to have a really good season, they need to finish at least 9-3. But then there's the question, of course, about the offensive coordinator and his play calling, and then the offensive line and how well they protect the quarterback and do their job for the offense. Here I'm at the point of the show where I'm losing my train of thought again. They're in a new Big 12, which potentially gives more opportunity because Texas and Oklahoma are not controlling the conference anymore. But there are still teams in the conference who seem to have our number. Oklahoma State and Kansas State are the two that immediately come to mind. There are some others, if they have a good season, that could be trouble. I think of Baylor and TCU and Iowa State. Possibly some of the newcomers. We'll see how that goes. I have tickets to all the home games, but I don't know that I'm going to go to any of them. I mean, like I said, it's a lot of investment in time and driving down there, driving back, and all that. And I definitely don't want to go shopping before the game or after the game. So that's kind of a difficult thing for me. But anyway, if you're interested in getting any tickets from me, go ahead and contact me, and we'll see what we can work out. I think I've already put the first 2 home games up for sale. But anyway, I have some other interests that I'm wanting to do this fall, some things that I may need to do. But anyway, that's about all that I have for this episode. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Give you my 2 cents verbally here. And hopefully there was a few laughs as well. Really just thank you so much for being here, joining me in the forest each and every week. Please tell your friends and family about the show. Hit subscribe. And just, try to contact me, through my links, my website. I'm going to try to be a little bit more active on Twitter at least. But this show isn't anything without the fans and the listeners. Get a few downloads every week, so I'm thankful for that. Hopefully it's not from bots, because that would be really something tragic if it was. But until next time, this is your host, Frank Weber, signing off from the forest here on It's a Frankly podcast. I love you, and we'll see you next time. Bye.